Hi, my name's Paul Hilton. I think it was just introduced. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk about climbing Mount Whitney or hiking Mount Whitney. I did this on just last Saturday. I am not a professional hiker or a professional mountain climber, just kind of a pedestrian sort of guy. I'm an attorney in San Diego. I do estate planning. I would be happy to talk with you about that on another time. But I'm here to talk to you about some lessons that I learned from climbing Mount Whitney. So I'm going to share my screen because I built a little PowerPoint presentation, very little, but it gives the points, kind of an agenda as we're going to walk through. So let me hold on for just a second and I'll get my screen up. Okay, so now this is the PowerPoint presentation where I've got 3 slides, but this is the top of Mount Whitney behind there. Again, my name is Paul Hilton. I'm an estate planning attorney, and this is about hiking the Mount Whitney Trail. So there's a reason it's called the Mount Whitney Trail, hiking that. There are other approaches to the summit of Mount Whitney that require technical climbing equipment and skills. The Whitney Trail approach does not require either. It just requires a lot of heart and a lot of deep breathing. But it's 2 points of contact the entire way. But I do highly recommend that if you ever climb it, you would be very careful to do it. As you see here at the top, you see a lot of these big boulders, these rocks. They're kind of flat and jagged, yet that is a lot of what the hiking is, much of the trail. So you're kind of bounding between rock to rock to get to your next destination. So you have to be careful that you're hitting your rock. It's very easy to turn an ankle, and people do injure themselves up there on that hike every year, and people do die, in fact. If the weather gets really bad and the trail gets icy, it can get very bad, and we'll talk about that along the way. But this is the type of terrain at the summit. That little hut that you see there has been there for a long time, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So, the agenda. This is the topics I want to talk about. So how do you get it? The first thing you've got to do, you've got to wait for the lottery. You have to apply for a permit at that website right there, and it's easy to find. Go out on the U.S. Park Service or recreation.gov. You can get out to that permit site, and there's a lottery that goes once a year that for those people that have applied for permits, and they pick, I believe the number is 150 a year, a day, excuse me, 150 a day get to climb the Whitney Trail. Now, there's 2 types of permits. Let me talk about that. There's day use permits and overnight permits. So a day use permit is actually a day. You get 24 hours. So we had the 19th of June. So on the 19th of June, at 0001, we could step into what is called the Whitney zone and step out across and spend the next 24 hours in the Whitney zone. And I'll show you in a map, hopefully here in just a minute about that. Then the other type of permit is an overnight permit. That's another lottery, that's another type of permit, but you can actually spend 1, 2, 3, or whatever you apply for nights in the Whitney zone and camp in there, but that's a different permit. So, but you apply for those, and there is a lottery to get in there because they control the number of people that go in there. Once you do get a permit, you get a day that you're going to go, and then you have to wait for that date. And it's recommended you prepare. And the biggest thing you need to do is do some training. and get your provisions. Some of the provisions that I think that you need to think about, you need to have trekking poles. You need to, depending on the time of year, you're very likely going to have crampons on your shoes at some time. If there's ice on the trail, snow or ice on the trail, you'll need crampons to get through so you don't slip and fall off the trail. You need headlamps, and then you need to start thinking about your food that you're going to eat. And I will say this again and again now, don't take too much food. Take some high caloric, really tasty food, but don't take a lot of it because you're going to want to keep your weight down. Training. Recommended training, use your equipment if you can go someplace and actually try your equipment, see how heavy it is, see how heavy it is in a little terrain at altitude. One place you could go and hike is like Mount Baldy. There's San Gorgonio, Mount San Jacinto, some things like that. But you can get your gear on and give it a try. Train. I didn't do that. I wish I had. We had some problems with our gear that we could have worked out if we had gone through and done that. So I recommend train at altitude with all your gear. Okay. Weather and other hike killers. So weather. Obviously earlier in the season, there's possibility of snowstorms. And if there is, the trail can get very icy and very cold, and it'd be very cold and dangerous. So you need to be careful of that. And if you come prepared, if that happens to be, if it's, if you're going to be, even in May, there was a lot of ice still on the trail. Lightning, electrical storms, thunder, lightning, and rainstorms can kill the hike. For us, the day before, they actually shut down the portal, and because there were fires in the Alabama mountains, and they evacuated everybody out of the portal the day before. We got back in there though that night, the night before, and we're able to step off. But beware of that. Things can happen. And then of course, injuries, illness, and stuff like that. But just beware of those types of things. Weather is a very likely to be a hike killer and could be a problem. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. You're gonna have to use a lot of water on this trip, especially the longer you go in the summer. It's going to be a little warmer. It is actually a fairly pleasant, cool hike most of the way at that altitude. In fact, there were several times the morning that it was flat up, kind of cold. But I only put my windbreaker on once. I had a light windbreaker and a light little puffer jacket in my pack, and I only had to use the windbreaker for a short period at one break. But that, back to water. So you're going to have to start off with probably about 4 quarts of water. People use a lot of those bladders, those, like camelback bladders, things, packs with those implemented part of the bladders that are part of the pack, and then the hose that comes around that you can drink. Those usually should carry about 2 to 2.5 quarts of water, 2.5 liters. That you fill those up, and then you bring two more liters in some sort of form. Now I brought and I'll show you right here, cans like this. I don't know if you can see that, and this, I didn't bring this one, but these metal types of cans, very heavy. Don't recommend that. A Nalgene bottle, plastic Nalgene bottle is lighter. Recommended plastic Nalgene bottle, or get one of those Sawyer bags and Sawyer kind of a straw type thing. Those are good ways, but I would not recommend carrying your water in good metal water bottles. Too heavy. But you are going to have water purification. You're going to have to figure out something. Now, some people figure out how to integrate a life straw, those straws that you suck through that that will filter out the giardia and things like that. There's plenty of water up there up to trail camp, but you're going to have to refill your water. But I had a water purification pump. I've returned it through Amazon. It worked great, but it was heavy. Don't recommend that. You'll have to look at something to do that. You can do the iodine tablets and the taste tablets, but those end up being really, really, they take a long time, and I don't recommend that approach. Something that's related to a life straw or a quick filtration process is the way you want to go, and you want to save weight, but you'll have to do something about water. Weight, you gotta do this. This was a killer for me. We almost blew it because we carried too much weight. You don't carry a lot of food. Carry a way to do water, 8 to 12 to 15 liters of water. You're going to have to be able to use. You're not carrying all that. You'll probably carry 3 to 4 at any one time, and then water purification. But other than that, you don't need a lot of stuff. You may have to have a jackets and sweaters if it's early in the season, it gets really cold, but otherwise keep the weight down. And if push comes to shove, try to figure out a way that you can put candy bars in your pockets and carry some water, carry a bladder, and drop any other pack, leave it at trail camp and pick it up on the way back. Weight is really important. Walking pace, go slow. So the idea is slow up, fast down. If you go up slow, about 1 mile an hour, you're probably not going to have you're not going to have a severe altitude sickness issue. So having said that, my son and I, we went up one mile an hour, and my son really struggled with an altitude headache. Myself, on the other hand, I got the doctor to prescribe for me altitude sickness medicine, and I took that, and I felt altitude. I was close to a headache, but I didn't get it. The record time up and back is 3 hours and 20 minutes. You are not going to do that. The Park Service suggests the time frame is about 14 to 16 hours. Frankly, because we carry too much weight, it was 20 hours for us to do it. You don't need to do, we had to have breaks and rest and so because we were carrying too much weight. And it was almost a hike killer for us. So keep the weight down, and you can, if you're going light, it can be in 14 to 16 hours. Waste and wag bags. Any trash, carry it out, and plan on the wag bags. What's a wag bag? A wag bag is the thing that you have to carry those, and I would recommend at least 2 per person. It's a bag that you do your human waste business into, and you cannot bury it on the trail. You can't do that. You got to carry it in and carry it out. And so what I found was I was a little worried about these things. These are actually very, very useful pieces of gear. They're made of thick plastic. They fit well around the area that you get in a squat. This thing covers the area that you need to have covered. You can do your business, wrap it up. They give you some little toilet paper and a little wipe, not enough. So you might need to bring an extra wipe. And then you do your business, wrap this thing up, and then it has a zip locking type of bag that you put it in, and zip it closed, and it's a solid zip closure. I didn't worry about it breaking open and contaminating anything in my backpack. These were good, but they do stink, but you got to get your stuff out of there. There's so many people on that trail. If they don't do this, it would be a disaster. Okay, wish you had a light, headlamps. Hiking in the darkness is what I'm talking about here. Because it's going to be a 14, 16, maybe 20-hour hike for a day, you're going to have to start at night in the darkness. We started at 1 a.m. in the morning and we didn't finish till 9:30. So we used headlamps on both the start and the finish of our hike. Find headlamps. They'll save you. You've got to do that. And you get and be ready to hike in the dark. We got up at midnight in Lone Pine, got up to the Whitney portal, and then started our hike then. Okay. And then walk the line. You're going to follow all trail. I'll go through here and show you a little map of how it is, give you an orientation. This is my son and I. These are my trekking poles. This is, and we did in fact make it to the top. So let's see. So I want to share another screen with you for a second. And here we go. So this is an application that I use. There's several of them. This is all trails though. And I was just going to kind of give you an idea of what the terrain looks like. You start out at Whitney Portal down here in the parking lot, and and then the trail, it's about the exclusion. The Whitney zone is right about here near this lake right here. This is Lone Pine Lake. So that's the area that you have to have a permit to be in after you pass Mount Whitney, or Lone Pine Lake. Then as this goes here, so this starts out at the Whitney Portal on that number 1, and it's a series of just kind of uphill switchbacks until you get to the Whitney zone. After that, and it's a pretty strenuous hike through there. It's all strenuous, but then at that point you come through and you have this series of trail, which is really a series of lakes, meadows, and water. You can replenish water all the way up through there. It's easy. There's a lot of water in there, but it does have giardia and it has to be purified. Until you get to trail camp. Trail camp is right about in here. And that's when things get really ugly. And that's at trail camp, as you can see here. From then on, this is what the climb entails. There are 96 switchbacks. So you'll see some pictures here in just a second. This is all fairly just gradual climbing switchbacks. It's a challenge until you hit here, and this actually gets you up the side of the mountain. You climb a couple thousand feet in just right up the side of the mountain through these switchbacks, and it puts you from this eastern side of the Sierra Nevadas, or this mountain range, actually over into the western side, and the approach to Mount Whitney is on the western side. So you get up here and you're at about 8 to 9 miles into this thing, and all of a sudden you've got 2 more miles to go. And this is very strenuous hiking through here. This is the last bit that you hike all the way up, and somewhere around in here, you see that hut. You can see the hut on top of Mount Whitney over here on number 9, and it looks really, really small. So you got to kind of push through all that and to get there. So that's kind of the trip. Boy, this 20 minutes goes by really, really fast. And then I want to give you time for questions. So here I'm going to go through some pictures of the thing. So all I want to say to this thing is, this is a challenging hike, but it is for people that if you're in good shape and you want to dig deep in something and do something that's a real challenge, to say, hey, I did this. It's kind of something that you can think about doing and share with friends, and I always keep it in your mind for always. So let's I want to go in here, and we're going to pause. I'm going to go through a few of the pictures so you can see some of the terrain real rapidly here. And hopefully you can have time for questions. This is the start of the trail. There's the sign. That's the peak. That's the summit. There's the picture of the house, and you can see the rocks. You have to bound up to kind of get to the summit. More of the terrain. Picture of the trail going up. This is at the start. This is actually posted by one of the people that went with us. This some of the stream crossings along the way. Like I said, there's a watershed area with meadow and so forth. This is trail camp. This is the start. Just after this trail camp is the start of those 96 switchbacks. And really what you're doing is you're getting up on top of this terrain up here. So looking down from actually above, just above trail camp. Trail camp would be in here. So looking down at the watershed area and the meadows. Or a friend got engaged on the mountain that day. Looking to the east at sunrise. Wag bags are required. This is a little notice on how to use them. You can weigh your pack. This is a station for weighing your pack right at the start of the trail. And this is the part when you get over those 96 switchbacks. This is the next part of you see this sign that says 1.9 miles actually to the summit. And this is on the eastern, now the western side of the hike. And I'm going to stop there. I think I am out of time, and I want to leave time for questions. So, so I will stop sharing, and I will stop recording this, and we'll go back to there. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully we can have some. We'll listen to have some questions. Thanks.